Is Islam prophesied in the Bible? And who will eventually wind up in control of Mecca and Medina? Welcome to SkyWatch TV for Monday, April 11th, 2016. I'm Derek Gilbert. A special broadcast today as we have with us one of the featured speakers from the Rocky Mountain International Prophecy Conference, the author of numerous books, featured in numerous DVD teachings, and always in demand as a teacher and speaker. We welcome Avi Lipkin to the program. Avi, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to swing by.
First time.
Yes, our little place out here in the Ozarks, caught you in between Kansas City and Springfield. So
Right.
a couple of books here that you brought with you. Islam prophesied in Genesis and Return to Mecca. And this is intriguing. Now, I understand Islam prophesied in Genesis got you in trouble in Switzerland.
Right.
Now,
Well, what happened was that, I've been speaking in churches 26 years. So not only do I speak, I actually attend, and I listen to the preachings of the pastors. And I hear things that most Jewish people never hear. And I think about it, you put the morsel in your mouth and you taste it and you think, yeah, makes sense, And pastors teach the same Bible as the Jews have, but the pastors have a slightly different approach. And I look at what we know from the Bible, and I see things that the rabbis don't talk about. And once I had a 1.5 hour meeting with a very, very ultra-Orthodox rabbi in the town where I live. And I said to him, where's Mount Sinai? And he said, we don't know. Now, Helena, mother of Constantine, decided that this is in the Egyptian peninsula of Sinai. But that's a mistake, because the Egyptian army was there. The Israelites could not have been there. And Jim and Penny Caldwell came out with their video, and I met them 5-6 years ago. And they prove that the real Mount Sinai is in northwest Saudi. So I started thinking about it. I started checking into the Torah, and I found words that the rabbis completely overlook. And, there's this animosity between Judaism and Christianity, but the fact is that the rabbis go by the King James. And the King James translation is wrong. And so, for example, when Moses says to Pharaoh, let my people go, so that they may go around in circles in the desert, and it says Hajj. It says Chag in Hebrew.
Really?
But Chag is Hajj. Hajj is the pilgrimage.
yes.
And so I said to the rabbis, guess what? 40 years in the desert, we were in Arabia. I asked them, where were we? So what happens is little by little, you start putting together a picture, and you see the antithesis of Judeo-Christianity. And I get into a lot of trouble with the Jewish people in Israel when I say that, Jews and Christians are one people. The Muslims also say it.
Yeah.
That the Jews are the Saturday people, Christians are the Sunday people, so kill the Jew on Saturday, kill the Christian on Sunday. But the point is that Mount Sinai, where the Torah was given not only to the Jews, but the Christians, because Christians believe in the Torah also. So this is a God-given gift from Mount Sinai. So if Mount Sinai is not in the Egyptian peninsula of Sinai, where is it? It's in northwest Saudi Arabia. So I started writing my yellow book about Mecca and Medina, but before I went into the yellow book number 6, I said, you know what, we've got to do a book about Genesis first. Because Genesis shows that Allah, the God of Islam, Allah, the moon god, the war god, the sword god, is Satan. Satan, Lucifer, the devil. And when I went to Switzerland, I was invited to help the Swiss people. They were having a referendum about whether or not to allow the Muslims to build minarets so that they could proclaim 5 times a day with loudspeakers at 4:30 in the morning, Allahu Akbar, and you hear this for miles. And so I went to 23 German-speaking cities in Switzerland, and on November the 29th, 2009, and you can look it up in Google or YouTube, all these things, the Swiss people voted down the minarets, praise God. So I played a role in that. And I said to them, if you allow them to proclaim Allahu Akbar, which means Allah is greater, who said he was greater than God before his fall from heaven? Satan. So
Yeah.
Allah is Satan. They call their God the greatest of all the liars and deceivers. Al-Makr in Arabic. Al-Makr means Allah is the greatest of the liars and deceivers. Who's their forefather? Ishmael, who was rejected of God.
Right.
Because God chose Isaac.
The son of the promise was Isaac. Right.
So what I do is I go through the entire book of Genesis, and I have to blame Chuck Missler, because Chuck Missler is also kind of my rabbi. And the way he teaches, I try to emulate it, but from a Jewish perspective. And I always say that Jews and Christians are like the right hand and the left hand. But together we clap. And I'm very pleased to be here and work with Christian groups. And I wish the Jewish groups in Israel would listen to me like the Christians do.
Well, it's fascinating. One of the things I've been reading about lately is about the holy mountain and the concept of the holy mountain of God. And of course, Sinai was where Moses received the law. We also know that there was Mount Hermon where the Watchers came down. There was also a mount in the north of Syria, called Mount Akra today, but it was back in the day called Mount Zaphon, where Baal was supposed to have his palace. Yahweh told Moses, before they crossed the Red Sea, turn around. I want you to turn around, and you're going to cross opposite Baal Zaphon. I had no idea why Baal, a Canaanite god, was being worshipped in Egypt. History. The Hyksos kings who came from Canaan and dominated Egypt for several hundred years while the Israelites were there were worshipers of Baal, or Set in the Egyptian pantheon, the god of chaos. When Jesus was accused of driving out demons by the power of Beelzebul, Baal the prince, Jesus responded, if Satan should drive out, he equated Baal with Satan. So Allah equals Baal equals Set equals Satan.
Absolutely correct.
It's been a long war, and they've been fighting over the Holy Land, the lands of the Bible. But this, in your second book now, Return to Mecca, you talk about how there will be conflict within the House of Islam over their holy sites, and how ultimately, do I understand correctly, the Jewish people, the Jewish nation will wind up with their holy sites?
Okay, now this is a revolutionary idea that our rabbis in Israel, and I love my rabbis, but they're inside of a box. They do not think about that. And you ask the rabbis, where's the real Mount Sinai? We don't know. It's not in the Talmud, so if it's not in the Talmud, we don't discuss it. And what I do is I read the Bible. We have a word in Hebrew, pshat. Pshat means you read it word for word, and you analyze each word, and you don't rely on something that rabbis said 1,000 years ago or 1,500 years ago, especially because those rabbis did not know geography, and they did not know Islam. And even today, I go to synagogue, and very often, people in the synagogue say, okay, Avi, talk a little bit about what you do, and they don't want to hear, the moment I say Christians, stop, we don't want to hear Christians. We don't want to hear New Testament. Islam, stop, we don't want to hear about Allah and Muhammad and all these things. I said, but guys, you gotta know all the different cultures. You gotta know them, because the Christians are our brothers and sisters and our allies, and the Muslims they're good people, but they're the enemy, because their God wants to kill the Jews on Saturday and Christians on Sunday. So, how could that be God? I learned from the Christians something Jews don't even know, which is Zechariah 2, verse 12. Zechariah 2, verse 12 says that the Jews are the apple of God's eye. And anyone who touches the Jews touches the apple of God's eye. You don't want to touch the apple of God's eye, because you'll pay for it. So then I get into trouble. I quote Romans 9 to 11, and I say that the Christians are grafted into the apple of God's eye, which makes you guys also the apple of God's eye. So anyone who touches, listen, the olive tree has roots and branches. Jews are the roots, Christians are the branches. No tree can survive with only branches or with only roots. So the Jews and the Christians are together. And I'm forming a Judeo-Christian party in Jerusalem, which will be registered, God willing, April 21st. So I'm very excited about that too, bringing the Jews and Christians together. And I'm predicting ISIS is going to cause a mass migration of Jews and Christians from all over the world to Israel.
Well, we'll talk about the political party in our next program, because I want to talk about the political situation in Israel and also the influence that the Orthodox and ultra-Orthodox communities have. That's something I don't know anything about. But I know that the Saudi kingdom is very nervous about ISIS. A year ago, December, they began building a 600-mile-long high-tech border fence between Saudi Arabia and Anbar province of Iraq, which is where ISIS is dominant, because they are concerned about ISIS coming across the border.
It won't help them, because 92% of the Saudis support ISIS. ISIS is already in the kingdom. Jordan, 80% of the Jordanians support ISIS. There are Bedouin tribes that have already signed agreements with ISIS. When something big happens, they go over to ISIS. You're going to have black flags of ISIS on the Jordan River. Now you tell me, is Israel going to just sit back and watch? They're going to be digging tunnels under the Jordan River so that millions of volunteer Muslim terrorists can come across and destroy Israel. This is their dream. This is their obsession. So what I'm saying is I predict ISIS will eventually overturn Jordan, will eventually overturn Saudi Arabia. Fence, no fence, it doesn't matter. They're in Israel, in Jerusalem, I visited some very dear Christian friends in a high part of the old city, and we went. They had like a roof apartment. We went up to the roof. We looked out. We saw black flags over the old city of Jerusalem.
Oh, wow!
They're inside Jerusalem. They're also in the Galilee, which is not Palestinian territories. They're just regular Israeli Muslims. They're ISIS.
So the threat to the Islamic State, or the threat to the Saudi kingdom, is that ISIS wants the credibility of controlling their holy sites?
It's not only controlling. There are three primary things that ISIS wants to do in Saudi Arabia. They want to kill the king and his family, because the king and the family go off to drinking, gambling, and prostitution,
right.
which is, how can they be the guardians of the holy places? Secondly, they have 19 million people in Saudi Arabia, but they also have 1 million Hindus from India as slaves, and 1 million Catholics from Philippines. So ISIS says, get rid of them, or we will behead all 2 million, and we will behead the whole Saudi family. They're very serious about this. They want to blow up the oil wells, because the reason Christianity, in their opinion, rules over the world, and for them, Christianity is also China, India, Japan, which are not Christian.
Right.
But, the one world government economy is because Saudi Arabia plays ball with the one world economy, provides the oil, gets the money, and then reinvests the money in what I call the takeover. In other words, the Saudi king has a plan peacefully to take over the West. ISIS says, no. The West has to be simply destroyed, all the Christians and Jews killed. And they're very serious about it. And finally, the black stone, the Kaaba in the center of Mecca, has to be destroyed, according to ISIS, because Muhammad had no right to incorporate that pagan abomination stone. And they did horrible things there. In other words, you remember the story in the Bible of Phineas, where he skewers Zimri and Cosbi in the middle of a sexual act, the Israelite prince and the Midianite princess. There was something called temple prostitution. And Acts 15 and Acts 21 is called fornication. In other words, Peter and James say to the new believers, avoid eating meat offered to idols and fornication.
Right.
So fornication is with temple prostitutes. All the religions around at that time had sex.
They were defiling the tabernacle.
Right.
It's not exactly explicit in the text, but they were Phineas was basically, they were right there in the entrance to the temple, the tent.
And not only that, they offered their children on the altar of Molech, Baal, at the black stone. They had homosexual relations. They had bestiality, which is sleeping with animals. All these things that God says are an abomination, and he hates them, were all at the stone. So ISIS says that stone has to be destroyed. Now, the crazy thing is, when ISIS destroys the Kaaba, that's the end of Islam.
Yeah.
So we are looking at some crazy things happening right now. Eventually, God is turning the Muslims against each other, which we see in the Bible in 2 Chronicles chapter 20, when 3 armies march against Jerusalem, Ammon, Moab, and Seir, and then they turn on each other and kill each other. So God has the solutions.
Avi Lipkin is the author of numerous books, including Return to Mecca and Islam Prophesied in Genesis. Avi, where do people go to find your books?
Well, my pen name on my first book is Victor Mordecai. So half of Victor is V-I-C, half of Mordecai, M-O-R-D.com, vicmord.com. And we have PayPal, and we have all these other things also. And people can write to me also. They go to vicmord.com. There's a place where you can write to me. And my email is vicmord2001 at Yahoo. And I usually answer pretty quickly when people write to me.
All right. We'll continue our conversation tomorrow about the political situation in Israel. This week on SkyWatch TV, we discuss what might be coming to the United States and how prepared, or rather how unprepared, we are for an emergency. Gary Haven, the writer and producer of the new film Amerigeddon the Movie, is our guest on SkyWatch TV. You can see that today on the Victory Television Network in Arkansas and around Memphis. Tomorrow, a number of places, including Coast to Coast on the Christian Television Network. Again, Wednesday on the Cornerstone Network, and this coming Saturday on the Victory Television Network and the Christian Television Network. You'll find a complete listing of dates and times where you can see SkyWatch TV at skywatchtv.com. Just look in the top menu bar there for the channel listing. Of course, Avi is one of the speakers of the Rocky Mountain International Prophecy Conference coming up in July. It is sold out, but you can still bring it into your home via the live stream. There are 3 options available to find out the packages and the cost. And to sign up, log on to the website of our friends at Prophecy Watchers. That's prophecywatchers.com. Your comments or questions for me, please send those to dgilbert@skywatchtv.com, and we thank you for watching. As we keep watch, I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is SkyWatch TV. Most American families are just 72 hours away from disaster. Here at SkyWatch TV, we hope we can help avoid that.
I have been given permission to tell about this massive deal. There's one packet where you get one of each of these breakfast and entree buckets, and again, 25 years shelf life. With that, you will get 15 of these Wise Fire packets. You'll get one of this water bottle. It will filter 99.9% of the impurities out of your water. Also, you will get for free this awesome auto kit.
Now, there's another package.
There are 2 more packages. The second package, you get 3 of each bucket. You pay for those, and you get the auto kit free, you get the Wise Fire free, and you get 2 of these bottles. There's a third deal. You won't believe this one. You get 6 of each of these. You get the auto kit free, you get the Wise Fire free, you get 2 bottles. Guess what else? You get the Mac Daddy
Ooh.
50-gallon water storage container. If the electric grid goes down, one of these is going to come very handy.
3 packages for preparedness. One that feeds a family of 6 for a month. One that feeds a family of 6 for 3 months. And one that feeds a family of 6 for half a year, and of course that includes the 50-gallon water tank. You'll find all of those deals online, the Wise Food Preparedness Specials at SkyWatchTVstore.com.